With the reopening of the economy, establishing a more normal supply chain, and federal food assistance purchases coming back into play, milk producers are experiencing a robust turnaround in dairy prices. Bjerga with the National Milk Producers Federation joins us now with an industry outlook. I sure haven't been able to say that for a while. Alan, bring us up to speed, if you will, on the current prices and the trends that you're noticing.
Yeah, there's been a real turnaround in dairy prices, as you mentioned. And turnaround doesn't necessarily mean we've had a return to good times, but it is a time that is more bearable and more recognizable to dairy farmers than the unprecedented catastrophe they seem to be facing just a couple months ago. If you take a look at recent forecasts for milk prices for the year, you're seeing in the range of $17.60 per hundredweight. That's about what the price was for 2017. Now, that wasn't a great year for dairy, but that was a fairly recent year, and it means that incorporates some of the really awful prices you've seen in the past couple months, with a little bit of a rebound at the end of the year to what may almost look like a normal dairy market. Of course, retail demand has been robust. We continue to see dairy products going year over year better than they were a year ago, turning around some trends. And the food service sector, you're still seeing some issues, but that combination of reopenings and economic return to, say, restaurants and food service sector, combined with some really effective targeted federal payments that are helping out dairy farmers and help keeping those supply chains going, is making the outlook for dairy a lot better than what you would have been saying even a month ago.
And demand and sentiment surrounding dairy has been changing. That has to be boosting producer confidence as well. Speak, if you will, to the resilience of dairy farmers as they've adjusted to pandemic disruptions.
Well, you had a lot of resilience shown across the dairy community. You've seen a lot of farmers connecting with one another. You've seen a real response at the cooperative level. Let's take a look at the power of dairy co-ops and some of the changes you saw in supply. You know, supply is always one of the issues in dairy. Farmers tend to overproduce toward demand, chasing, that extra nickel per hundredweight and inadvertently driving the price down. Here you saw cooperatives do some of the base plans that they put on, incentives for farmers to get some of their supplies reduced a bit. A really quick turnaround that really helps support prices in the market. And that was the collective effort of dairy producers doing what they do best, being effective managers and stewards of their own operations, coming together, really helping themselves and helping the economic situation, even as you saw timely federal aid and market recovery, all of which have played big roles in this rebound.
You know, the pandemic has really been revealing about what consumers want at the grocery store. We previously talked about trends in milk alternatives. Give us an update on how milk is doing versus plant-based beverages since COVID-19 started.
Well, this is becoming a really interesting and revealing year on that trend. You know, there's been this long-term decline in per capita consumption of fluid milk, and that sometimes gets made more into than it should be when you take a look at dairy as a whole. But we've even seen that trend now turn around. If you take a look at retail demand for dairy products, you're seeing a robust increase over a year ago. A lot of people are shopping at grocery stores, but when they're looking at those purchases, they're also buying milk and dairy products at a greater proportion than grocery as a whole. And they're buying more volume of these products than their plant-based alternatives. You're seeing gains overall in retail sales, but when you take a look at the actual volumes, you're seeing 5 times as much fluid milk coming from grocery sales compared to a year ago than you are for the plant-based competitors. People are buying on value, they're buying on nutrition, they're buying on what helps their families during these difficult times, and increasingly they're buying milk, and that is a great potential that could be realized further in the months ahead.
Absolutely. At my house, I'm buying so much milk because I never want to run out of it again. Bjerga with the National Milk Producers Federation, thank you so much for joining us.